So I'm excited for an evening of getting unstuck. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can see a little bit what we have to look forward to this evening.
Great.
Getting unstuck, and we're going to be figuring out how to get unstuck using the art of flow. So hello, we have this little welcome moment for everyone who's here, and as people are arriving, they can type their name and where they're from into the chat box. Would be awesome. We're going to talk about what is this flow state and how it can help you get unstuck. That's kind of our intro here. Then exactly what the 4 stages of getting into the flow are after we find out more about what the flow state is. Then my favorite, because I'm a big planning nerd, we are going to actually calendar in this different activities of flow that you find in your life, things that get you into the flow, because what gets you into the flow might not get me into the flow. We will add that into our agendas. And then Paty is going to lead us through a tapping session to release limiting beliefs, which is one of my all-time favorites. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then we have presents for you, a little extra something special for the end of the call. So that is our agenda for the evening. And welcome, Joseph. Hello. So we've got Joseph on the call.
Hey, Joseph. Thank you. Hey guys, I'm Paty from Self-Love Mafia. I am a holistic life coach, a yoga and meditation teacher, and I am very excited that you guys are here. That also some of you, I know you're watching this on the replay, so thank you for joining our webinar. Jessica and I are very excited about this topic because we know that we often in life get stuck in different areas of our life because that's how it goes, right? Like we cannot always be going and flowing, but we have some practices and some mental hacks that we're gonna share with you guys, and they can help you get unstuck when you get into that place. They will help you, these techniques will help you get out of that situation faster and in a fun way. So that's what we're gonna talk about.
Awesome. And a little bit more about myself. So I'm Jessica Antonelli, and I'm an art instructor. I get to travel around teaching workshops, mostly between here in Texas and San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And I also teach gardening to kids in a nonprofit after-school program. So all the things that I love, gardening and art, are mega flow experiences for me. And what really drew me to figuring out what this whole flow thing was my many experiences of artistic block or just feeling stuck in life. And when I started learning these specific techniques and what that magical feeling was, that it has a name, that feeling that I get whenever I'm creating, losing track of time, falling in love with your process of making art, it has allowed me to get some breakthroughs. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys tonight so that you can have more flow in your life. So
yeah, so let's dive into it.
Awesome. The research that this flow state is all based on comes from the psychiatrist with the hardest name to pronounce in the whole world, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. So we are learning from his studies on people who reach this flow state. And this is from the world of positive psychology, not just trying to heal us, which is obviously super important, but discovering how we can be living in an optimal state and making the most of our lives, having lives that we love. So what is the flow? Mihai and his team found out there were 8 characteristics of what it feels like to have a flow experience. So what are we talking about when we're talking about flow? Number 1 is that when you're doing something that creates flow, there is a real clarity of what you're doing, and you're able to tell immediately if you're doing it well or not. So if you are a skater and you love skating, you're trying to like get really good at it, you know if you are succeeding or if you just fell and you skinned your knee. That is immediate feedback. You know your balance is off. So you're either toppling or you're skating. Same for me if I think of painting. You know, I have immediate feedback when I put down a dollop on the page, what that looks like. So you know what's happening. You've got real clear awareness of what's going on at any given moment. Number two, in a flow state, you'll find that time seems to transform. So for some people in certain circumstances, that might feel like time just sped up while you were completely in love with what you were doing. So you are in the studio or you are working on a project, you look up and you're thinking, oh, am I hungry? Maybe I should have breakfast. And it turns out it's time for dinner. It's been like 6 hours. So that's one way it can manifest. Another is that time slows down to like slow motion. So some of the well-known flow state people are extreme athletes. So they say when you paraglide off of a mountain, that in that 4 seconds it takes from you to jump off the mountain to land in the snow, it feels like half an hour that you're noticing each and every little detail in the trees, like eagle-eye view. So there are real shifts that happen in our brain. There's a lot of crazy neurochemistry going on that actually works our sense of time when we're in this very special flow state. Number three, in a characteristics of the flow, is that you have a sense of control. So flow state isn't something that just happens to you. Flow state is something that you are completely being and doing, and that you feel like you're the one in the driver's seat. So that could literally mean, you know, it could be riding a bicycle, could be a flow experience for some. You turn the steer thing and you go in a different direction. If you are a surfer, for example, then you would have to feel like you knew that you could swim to get into a flow state surfing. A person who doesn't know how to swim wouldn't have the control, wouldn't feel safe enough to get into the flow. So there is a sense of you're actively controlling the situation. Number four in a flow state is that actions and awareness merge. So there is a mind-body connection. So even as we say there's a sense of control, at the same time it's a bit of a balance because the ego tends to disappear and you sort of become one. So going back to that example in flow state of the surfer approaching the wave, the surfer might begin to feel one with the wave and one with the board and just have an intense mind-body connection with what you're doing. Number five, in characteristics of the flow state, is that it is intrinsically rewarding. So when you're in the flow, you want to be there. There is no better place. All of the little neurochemicals we were talking about that flow state sparks up, this shift in your neuroscience, neurochemistry, it is all the good stuff. It's the serotonin, it's the dopamine. I think there's something called amendanide or something. I'm more on the arts side, not the science side, but it is, if anything, addictive. And I should mention now that there can be negative repercussions of getting in the flow state. Gambling can be a flow state. You get too into it, you get too hooked into that rewarding flow, it can be dangerous. But nobody has to go tell a kid, you know, you need to go skateboard, or my friend who's really into skydiving, like, when's the last time you went skydiving? It's intrinsically rewarding. The reward is baked into the activity. So yeah, intrinsically rewarding. Number six, when you're in the flow state, you are there. There is complete concentration. You're super focused. That's definitely connected to losing track of time. It's got like you've got blinders on to anything but what you are doing. So flow, focus. Number 7, there is no attachment to failure. This is a really magical place to be because you sense an effortless ease to what you're doing. There's perhaps a chance that you could fail, but it's like it doesn't even seem to matter. You're just there for the process itself, for the unfolding of whatever it is that you're doing. So often as an artist, I might say, you know, I'm in the middle of painting something. It's like it's painting itself in front of me. I'm not worried about the end product, but completely in love with the process. And finally, number 8, in a flow state, typically you will find a balance between the challenge and the skill. So this definitely ties back into a sense of control. If you are, for example, trying to surf and you don't know how to swim, again, you're going to not feel like you can relax and get into flow. Or another example could be if you were a chess player. If you were playing someone who is just completely beginning, you might not even be entertained enough to be able to get into a challenge flow state. If it was someone way harder than you or way more advanced, then it would be too difficult. You wouldn't get into the flow. So there's sort of like a Goldilocks phenomenon, you know, not too hot, not too cold. That challenge has got to be just right to get you into that activated flow state. So when we're really talking about channeling that focused, completely energized, in the moment, joyful state that you just want to be doing it because it makes you happy, this is what we're talking about. And there are different levels of flow. So for some people, there are little small moments of flow that you can bake into your day. Like for some people, cleaning gets you in that flow state. We mentioned some other ones in these descriptions: surfing, playing chess, making art, making music. There are endless activities that are automatically flow states. And then some things that are challenging that you wouldn't necessarily think would be a flow state, but that if you put these ingredients in, can help you find the flow in things you don't even want to do. So we'll be looking at that as we get unstuck. And Paty, anything you wanted to throw in there about the flow state and the 8 characteristics we have here?
Yeah, well, I would just like to share my experience with the flow state, about what you just said, of how we can make the things that we don't like so much, we can transform them into something that we really enjoy. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about the flow state on another group that Jessica and I are leading. And somebody mentioned cleaning as a flow state. And I was like, what? I don't like to clean. I have to, but I don't like it. So the next time I decided that I was going to clean my room and tidy up and unclutter and all of that. I approached it with a different perspective. So I remembered Chris, this other lady who was saying that she finds flow in cleaning. So I was thinking like, how can I make it something that I enjoy instead of something that I have to force myself to do? And so I did some things like thinking like, okay, so I'm gonna start with this drawer that I need to unclutter and clean and everything. So I had a specific thing that I wanted to do. So I started doing it, and then I finished. And then there is this part of like knowing that there is progress, right? Like there is progress in it. And also it was intrinsically rewarding because then I saw like, oh, I had so many papers here that I don't need. And now it's everything like just like clean and organized. and it felt really good. And then I continued with some other things. So I really like this approach of finding the flow in things that we don't enjoy normally, because we can really get to enjoy things that we used to think were like a hassle, like,
Yeah, boring.
yeah, they're boring. And then, like, when we transform those things, it's like, it's so empowering, really, because it's like, huh, what else can I transform? What else I can get into, but that is gonna help me advance in life, um, advance towards my goals,
Hmm.
and enjoying the process. So yeah.
Totally love it. Thanks for sharing. I feel the same way. And it's like um, what you were saying about progress. If you can, instead of looking at something and see, oh gosh, big scary thing I don't want to do, or it's boring, but bake in those little moments of, oh, a win. Oh, look what I found. Check, check. Then awesome. So um, now that we know what it is, let's talk about how to get into the flow, the 4 stages of the flow state experience. So there's good news. That rut that you might feel like you're stuck in right now, that's the very first thing that happens before you get into the flow. And this is the struggle phase. So whenever we are for example, that surfer who's looking at the beach, these enormous waves, and thinking like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to survive these like crazy waves? Or for the artist who's looking at a blank canvas, or for the person who's looking at the dishes that they really don't want to do, there's a moment of complete just disconnection, not wanting to do the thing you have to do. But if you can recognize that as the cue, then you can get into number 2 of the steps of the flow, and that is relaxation. So this is where we release that little voice in our prefrontal cortex, that part of our brain that's trying to tell us like, oh, well, you need to solve the problem like this, and then you do that, and then you're going to be 45 degrees up on that wave, and you're going to have to flex your front ankle to the side to be able to surf. No, that's not how people surf. That would be a disaster if the little voice in your head was trying to do that. You've got to relax into your subconscious, into the flow. And when you turn that part of your brain off, you get to step number 3, into the flow itself, where it is not your little monkey brain chatting, making things happen. It's that mind-body connection, relaxing and flowing and doing the thing, whatever the thing is, in that flow state, those 8 characteristics we just talked about. So that's the fun part. Your brain gets all the exciting neurochemistry, serotonin, dopamine, and all that good stuff. And then there's stage 4, consolidation. So this is also not a fun experience for many, although there is sometimes the after buzz of being in the flow, where you still have sharper creativity, problem solving abilities. You're just riding the high of whatever it was you were just doing. That might last anywhere from weeks or months to hours, depending on what the activity was that you're doing. But often there's the sort of hangover that happens where you just like back to normal life. You don't have that buzz going in your brain, and it can be a challenge. So what I like to do is think of this as a loop. So we begin with a bit of a struggle, and that into the consolidation phase is also a struggle. So if you're able to start reframing these stuck areas in life to, what if this rut that I feel like I'm going through is just the struggle of me needing to relax and get into my next flow state? And if you can start to see that wave of, oh gosh, struggle, it's so hard. Oh, I relax, I'm at the flow, you're flowing, and then no consolidation, and then just keep riding those waves, then you can flow through life pretty easily. So those are the 4 stages of flow. I hope that that framework is going to be helpful to think about how you can flow even when times are tough. And what I'd like for us to do now is go ahead and grab your pen and pencil or whatever you brought to make some notes with. We're gonna take all this flow stuff and put it into action by first of all identifying what is a flow activity for you, and then we're going to do a really cool little process to plug some flow experiences into our lives on a day-to-day experience. So what I'd like you to do right now is start just listing anything that came into your mind while we were discussing flow, those 8 characteristics, and maybe even throughout the 4 phases. Just make a big long list of anything that you do that is a flow state. So I set a timer for about 2 minutes, and this can be anything from the small itty bitty daily flow experiences that you might have, such as cleaning or meditation, something that's easy to access, something that doesn't cost a lot of time or money to do, all the way up to pretty hardcore flow experiences. So for some people, skydiving and extreme sports are flow activities. So what they call adrenaline junkies, they've done the neuroscience, and apparently you get a lot more of the flow experience than you do adrenaline. So now those extreme sports people who are skiing and paragliding are really in the flow. It could be travel. I am definitely a flow traveler. Traveling is one of my favorite flow activities. It could be gardening. Patty, you want to throw out any flow things you do?
Yes, definitely. For me, drawing is such a flow activity. Writing, meditating, yoga, those are my favorite go-to activities that also are mostly free, like I can do them anywhere I am at any time. I mean, yeah, like drawing and writing, I might need a pen and paper, but other than that, they're so easy to access and so rewarding. I really love them. And yeah, bigger ones would be like traveling. I love traveling, although that is a bigger investment.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, those are some of my favorite ones. What about you?
Awesome. Well, and I was going to say, for anyone else on the call, if you want to type into the chat anything that you've written down, it'd be awesome to see some of your favorite flow activities, experiences. For me, gardening, big time. Love to garden. I can just get totally lost in that. Also, teaching. I love teaching, especially art and gardening with kids. Goes by really quickly. We have a lot of fun. Being outside in general, anything in nature, definitely a flow experience. Okay, so I'm gonna hop back to our big screen for our next step in this little activity. So now that you have all of your flow activities listed out, I'm going to ask you to rank them. So next to whatever you wrote down, you're going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the easiest to access, just like Patty was saying, things that they're just free, like she just needs a piece of paper and a pencil and she can draw, all the way to number 5, the most difficult. So taking off of work to go on a vacation, or going to some kind of shamanic ceremony in the woods in Peru, things that would take a lot more time, energy, money might sap your energy afterward? Any of those?
So Joseph is sharing some of his
Oh, yay.
art, improv, being with dogs. Oh yeah, I love that. Napping. Is napping a flow state?
Joseph, I think that might be on the fringe.
Yeah.
Just only
I'm
because your brain
resting.
isn't an actually shut down sleeping thing, but you're probably dreaming about flow activities, so of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, obviously, yeah, napping would be a 0, but perhaps dog time could be a 1. Uh, and improv, I happen to know Joseph has to organize those shows and sell the tickets and set the stage up, so that might be all the way to a number 5. I'm imagining that's probably a flow state that is super extra rewarding. You would have that excitement of being on stage that might be a buzz that would last for a week afterward. So that would be like a 5 flow exercise, perhaps, or maybe a 3. I don't know. And looking at or thinking of Joseph, they've also shown that volunteering and service is a flow state. So Joseph is one of the most service-oriented people I know, and so I would imagine that time spent, putting together a charitable event or donating items, being with people in the community could totally be a flow state for Joseph. So excellent. So hopefully you've got your flow experiences ranked on a scale of 1 to 5. And this is the really nerdy part that I love. So we're going to take all of your list and we're going to put them into other lists. So
we're going to make lists of the lists.
Yes. By the way, organizing and writing lists is a flow experience for me. So you're going to want to have these columns written out: daily, weekly, monthly, seasonally, and yearly. Now, you might not want to have each and every one of these experiences in a separate section. So for some, they might not need to have tons of flow on the monthly, but maybe seasonally. What I'd like you to do is take what you listed on a scale of 1 to 5 and start placing them with the 1s, the easiest things, in your daily or weekly schedule. Your 2s and 3s would go perhaps in the weekly, perhaps in the monthly, and anything that's a big production or takes more of your resources to accomplish that thing, or maybe is even physically dangerous. There are certainly physically dangerous flow states, climbing Mount Everest or something. That might be a yearly or seasonally activity. So go ahead and take a couple minutes to start thinking about how you might like to divide up your flow calendar. And I wanted to share my flow calendar with you. So something that has been a really beautiful process for me has been mindfully adding these flow experiences into my life and building up to very special flow experiences that are something to look forward to into the year and then kind of think back on as a touchstone after it's happened in a year. Because what involving flow into your life does is that you don't have these moments of feeling like you're stuck in a rut, honestly. You've got moments of clarity, of this intrinsically joyful, like moments that you live for that are built into our life. So instead of operating off of a to-do list where a lot of the times it's somebody else's to-do list, it's not even your to-do list, you are very intentionally building your favorite moments in life, the moments that really matter, into these rituals, these routines that support you. So I think it's really interesting because when we think about the long-standing traditions and different cultures, we already have a lot of built-in seasonal flow experiences where we're spending time with family or going on trips. Um, so of course, you have things like Christmas, the typical um, holidays. What I like to think about is how all of that aligns with nature. Of course, I'm the gardener and big hippie in general. So when I think about monthly flow calendaring, I'm not only just going to think like, oh, I'll just like stab that on any day of the month. I'm going to align my flow experience, my flow calendar with what's happening with nature, with the moon. So I'll look for the new moon dates, the full moon dates, and seasonally, those holidays that we have built into culture happen to align with the solstice, with the longest day of the year, the shortest day of the year. That's exactly, guess what, when Christmas is, and when other special times of the year are. So we have put together for you a flow calendar. So this is a 2020 calendar that we're going to be emailing to you right after this call that has all of those dates already put together for you if you're interested in aligning your flow experiences with, you know, the seasons. Kind of a good
The moon.
practice, why not? And the moon. So all of your full moons, all of your new moons are here. The solstice and equinox dates. So just a little extra perhaps motivation or inspiration of when exactly you might want to put a special kind of flow activity on the calendar. And then of course, in traditional religions or even just family get-togethers, you also often have a weekly ritual. So by taking those little rituals and routines and making them centered around what is going to give you flow, you're going to be able to cope and flow through whatever comes your way in the calendar. So there's your flow calendar, and hopefully by now you've got at least an idea and you can continue to develop how you want to add flow into your life. So yeah, that is our flow calendaring activity for the evening.
Yay, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And I just wanted to expand on what you were saying about how you get into the flow in one area of your life, but it extends to other areas, right? Like, I think that is something so important to remember, especially talking about like getting unstuck, because sometimes we feel stuck in one area of our lives and we feel like that's it, like everything is stuck. Like, we tend to catastrophize things. And as human beings, it's absolutely normal, because that's how evolution brought us to be, right? Because I mean, we've evolved to look for the negative, to protect ourselves and all those things. So that's why when we feel stuck in one area, we suddenly feel that our whole life is stuck and nothing will ever get better. But as you were saying, Jessica, if we can find our flow state in any other area, that is also going to translate into other areas or situations in our life. So it goes both ways. And I think that's something very, very empowering and very interesting to remember, because let's say, for example, for me, I feel stuck in my business, and now with this flow state that we've been talking about so much lately, and everything we've been learning about it, I know that I can do something to get out of that rut. And probably it doesn't have to anything to do with my business. For example, I feel stuck in my business and I can start drawing or start writing or doing something that I know it's going to get me in the flow. And suddenly my mind is going to be so much, it's gonna feel like so much clearer, you know, like, and I'm gonna feel lighter, and I'm gonna feel like, okay, so I'm back on track. So I think that is a very good trick that we can use whenever we feel stuck. Maybe focus our attention on something different, not not necessarily want to try to get unstuck from that specific thing, but look into some other area, and then it starts like translating to everything else.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah, that's very, very powerful, I think. So now let's do our EFT session. Joseph, have you practiced EFT? Yes, awesome. So we're gonna do an EFT session on limiting beliefs, because we all have limiting beliefs. And I'm talking, like, the topic of this webinar is getting unstuck, and that is one of the big reasons why we feel stuck in life, because of our own limiting beliefs, which again are part of how we've evolved. And these limiting beliefs are not necessarily ours. They are beliefs that have been like passed from generation to generation, from human to human. And the problem with them is when we believe them, when we believe those beliefs. so so we can acknowledge that we have those beliefs, but we can choose not to believe them anymore, because we can choose to believe empowering things. So let's begin. So the tapping points, I'm going to show you first the tapping points. The first one is the side of the hand. And here is where we're going to talk about the problem or the challenge. So the second one is the top of the head. The third one is the inner eyebrow. Fourth is the side of the eyes. Fifth is the under the eye. Sixth, under the nose. Seventh, chin. Eighth, collarbone. Ninth, under the arm. And 10, this is going to be just at the end, and we're going to tap the inner wrist with the inner wrist, like this. Okay, so so let's begin with our tapping session. Well, before we begin, would you guys want to share some of the limiting beliefs that you have? If you can type some of those limiting beliefs in the chat box, that would be awesome.
So funny, they're in my head all the time until you ask me.
I know, right? I want to work on my health. So about working on, do you have any limiting beliefs around health, Joseph? No? Okay. So Jess said, I am totally overwhelmed. Yeah, I can totally relate. I should be farther ahead. Yeah, I know those limiting beliefs. Okay, awesome. So let's begin our tapping session. So let's start with the side of the hand. The tapping is just like with two fingers and softly. So you're going to repeat after me. I'm going to say a phrase and you repeat after me, please. Even though I have limiting beliefs that make me feel stuck in life, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though these limiting beliefs are very loud in my head, I am ready to let them go. Even though these limiting beliefs make me feel stuck and disempowered, I love and accept myself anyway. Top of the head, these limiting beliefs, inner eyebrow, are so loud and annoying, the side of the eye, that sometimes I cannot hear the truth. Under the eyes, I cannot hear the truth of who I really am. Under the nose, these limiting beliefs, chin, make me feel stuck. Collarbone, these limiting beliefs, under the arm, make me feel very overwhelmed. These limiting beliefs are always in my head. I am tired of listening to these limiting beliefs. I am tired of believing that I am not good enough. I am tired of believing that I should be farther ahead. But these limiting beliefs are so loud that sometimes I just give up and believe in them. But I don't have to do that. I can have these limiting beliefs in my head, but I can choose not to give them any power. I am ready to release these limiting beliefs. I am ready to own my power. I choose to believe empowering thoughts. I know I am enough. I know I deserve to be very healthy. I know I deserve to have a lot of energy. I am ready to receive the best of life. I know it's safe for me to believe in myself and my power. I am ready to own my power. I am ready to enjoy my health. I am ready to be happy. I am ready to be successful. I am ready to be powerful and empower others. I believe in myself. I believe in myself and all my potential. Inner wrist with the inner wrist. I love and accept myself exactly as I am. I love and accept my inner power. I love and accept my healthy and amazing body. I love and accept myself exactly as I am, now and forever. Now bring your hands to your heart. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Inhale deeply. Exhale. And allow this energy to flow through you. Take one more deep breath in. And exhale and let go anything that you don't need. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you, guys. I hope you liked the session.
Thank you, Paty. I'm glowing. I feel all flowing, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about the flow state, right? I love EFT because it really helps you get out of your head and really get into the flow.
Absolutely. And I am feeling the buzz of that mind-body connection, of that little voice in your head just shutting up.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. That's something that, yeah, gets you in the flow.
Awesome. Yeah.
So speaking of flow states, there are a couple of opportunities that Paty and I wanted to share with you all of more flow coming your way. And probably the most exciting that ties into that flow calendaring is that once a year deep dive into the flow, into doing all of your favorite things that get you into that state. We are going to be hosting a week-long retreat this summer in Costa Rica called The Art of Flow. It is going to be just a celebration of life and flow and just letting ourselves do all of our favorite things. I'm going to be teaching intuitive painting and art classes. Paty, you want to talk a little bit about your
Yes.
flowing?
Yes, I'm going to be teaching yoga and leading meditation sessions and EFT sessions. So we're going to be literally combining the best of all the flow states because we're going to be traveling. We're going to be in the middle of the jungle in this beautiful place. I lived there for a while last year, and I can tell you guys that it's like one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in. It's in the middle of the jungle, and there's a river that passes through the property, and the beach is just a mile away. So it's so amazing. And then we're going to be uh, doing art with Jessica. We're going to be painting some beautiful masterpieces and practicing yoga, meditation, and all the good things. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
really looking forward to it.
and I think there's something about that clarity. Every single day, your schedule is laid out for you. If you feel like following it, you can hit your flow markers and flow through the whole week, meeting lots of awesome people. So that's going to be awesome. I put the link in the chat, so please do check it out if that's something you might be interested. This June 28th through July 4th, celebrate your Independence Day by going to
The jungle.
the jungle. Yeah, be independent in the jungle.
Yeah.
And for those of you who would like to have a little flow thrown into your monthly experiences, we will be having some flow sessions coming up. So this is going to be an offering twice monthly on the second and fourth Saturday of every month, where we're going to have a little group a lot like this one, but all about you and really what you are flowing through. So in those moments where you're feeling stuck, you are going to have a circle to come to share whatever issues you might be facing, to discuss and get accountability from our group and support from me and Paty to talk about how you can flow through them and just kind of brainstorm about, what you need to get off your mind.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love about both of these things is that it's the community part. I mean, I love everything about these groups, but the community part is so important. And Jessica and I were just talking about it earlier today, how important it is to be part of a community, a supportive community that really pushes you forward. Because sometimes I don't know, but this happens to me. Sometimes I have a goal or a challenge and I can get very easily discouraged. But if I have a group of people or even one other person to stay accountable to, and someone who supports me and empowers me and pushes me forward, that makes a huge difference. So that's something that I really love about the groups that we are creating, because the energy in the group is so amazing. And even though we're in different parts of the world, when we're together through Zoom or any platform that we're meeting on, it feels something, there's something different. There's an energetic exchange that happens, even if it's only through the screen, right?
Yes. And it's the fact that we're, able to connect is such magic anyway. So Just up the magic. Well, thank you again, Paty, for that beautiful tea session, for flowing with us. Thank you. Everyone who is here live or is watching the replay. We so appreciate you taking your time to flow with us. And we will be in your inbox soon with your flow calendar and links to all the good stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joseph and Angelica. Mwah.